Hi, I'm Sama Zadora, and today we're going to talk about 2 ways that you can avoid self-sabotage. So in my work, teaching people all around the world, people set a lot of goals in the workshops that they come to. And, their goals are to be more successful in their work or in their relationships. Some people have the goal of getting healthier in their body. And once they set these goals and start moving towards them, there's always the habit that people begin very enthusiastic. They feel they have a fresh start at things, and that positivity, though, often hits a road bump or a speed bump, after a little while. And once that initial excitement about forming the goal and the intention wears off, they start getting challenged by life. And the real measure of your practice and of your ability to transform your life is how you're going to meet the challenges that come up and the temptations, right? So in setting a goal, when you start to notice what are the temptations that come up from your old patterns, that if you give into those temptations, you're actually sabotaging yourself from moving into keeping your goals or moving into this more positive future. And I think it's really important that we understand what our triggers are or what our main temptations are. And it takes a while for you to change a habit. I always think of the stories of Buddha or Jesus, and both of them had 40-day periods of time that they were tested. And in the story of Buddha, he went and he sat to meditate under a tree for 40 days, and he was tempted by a female. And he stayed in his meditation and broke through to a freedom or a liberation from being controlled by these negative patterns. And in the story of Jesus, he went to the desert and was tempted by the devil. And when he didn't give in to that temptation, he broke through to, again, liberation and freedom. So you can think about, a fun way to think about this is, what are your personal devils, your temptations that come up after you've set a goal? And they're usually not going to be anything new. It's something you're very familiar with, and that usually has brought you pleasure in the past, but you know that when you give into it, you'll probably go into a shame spiral. And this isn't about judging the behavior. This is about recognizing the patterns that move you towards your goals and recognizing the patterns that move you backwards into things you want to change. This isn't somebody else judging you. This is you holding your goal for yourself and having more awareness. So, what are your devils? And, I'll use 2 examples. I have one of my students who was recently telling me that he's in a 3-year marriage and he's very happy with his marriage. So one of his goals is to stay in this healthy relationship, which is the best relationship he's ever had in his life. And at the 3-year point in his marriage, he's starting to have temptation, looking at other women and hitting this moment of saying, I don't know if there's something wrong with me because I'm having the temptation or the desire to be with other women. And he asked me how he can fix that so he doesn't have the desire anymore. And I told him I wouldn't try and fix that you don't have the desire. I would just forgive yourself, first of all, that you have the desire. Let go of the judgment. You're a primal human being, and sexual attraction is a very primal energy. Now, what you decide to do with it will really form the outcome of your life, right? So I told him when that desire comes up, also remember when you're really, really in that moment when you want to go into one of these temptations, remember that moment will pass. That's really important to remember, because in that peak moment when that's really coming up for you, your mind's going to say like, what am I going to do? I can't stay, in this marriage if I want to be with other women. And then if you act out on it, then you're going to have to deal with the outcome of that in your relationship. And I told him, see if you can ride this one out, because you're, as a primal human being, you're having all this sexual energy at this moment in time. And if you don't act out on it, it's likely to pass and go into a valley, right? Right now you're in the peak of that desire or that temptation. And I have another student who was working on cleansing her body, doing a detox, and eating healthier. And for her, her main temptation was chocolate chip cookies. So I'd say, sexual attraction, chocolate chip cookies, almost the same thing, right? In that they're both things that give us a lot of pleasure. And there's nothing wrong with the cookie, and there's nothing wrong with sexual attraction. The question is it helping you achieve your goals? And what choices are you making? So for her with the cookies, she said, she would be eating healthy, be doing yoga, be doing all these things to cleanse her body. And when she was really starting to get ahead with that, she just had these overwhelming desire that she had to have the cookie and she couldn't go another minute. And then if she ate them, she would go into a shame spiral. And that sense of guilt and self-loathing and confusion. And so I was telling her the same thing. When you hit that peak moment where your mind is telling you, I can't go another minute, how can I go on? And you give in to that temptation, it really does set you behind on the goals you're setting for yourself. So how do you avoid falling into that trap of your temptations? And the main thing that you're going to have to do is really stick to your commitment. It's not some magic answer. There's not some magic pill you can take. You yourself and your mental control will have to start enjoying not giving into temptation more than giving into the temptation. And that's how you can start to get it out of sabotaging yourself. So your homework today would be to figure out what are some of your main temptations that come up when you try and achieve your goals, so that you can be aware of your temptations. What are your personal devils? Again, devil just representing something that is tempting you to fall into old habit. And when you fall into that old habit, a lot of times you end up, again, in that place of feeling ashamed of yourself or that shame spiral, and really getting yourself out of that and moving forward and staying committed and motivated towards your goals. So I want you to really think about what are your main temptations, clarify them so you can be aware of them, look out for them, and when they come up, be like, there they are. And then don't judge yourself. When they come up, instead of judging, just say, there's my old friend, and today I'm making a different choice. Because if you judge yourself, you're just going to push all of that down in repression, and then it'll come up and explode out with you acting out in these behaviors. So really finding that place that you can exercise, staying committed to your own goals.